going on, guys? Phil here from Phil's Craft Corner. I'm back in the workshop today because we need to do some work on the scroll saw. I'm making some of these little half fillable boxes, and I need to build a router table because last time I did this I had my little trim router set up and clamped onto the table, and I was using this top bit as a kind of a router table, and although I felt fairly safe, there's not enough surface there to keep it completely safe and not risk cutting my fingers off. So I'm just going to use this piece of scrap plywood, 18mm plywood that I just got left over from another job. I'm going to route out a little bit of a recess for the router to sit in. We're going to put the screws in from the top, sink them in, countersink them so nothing catches on them, and then I'm just going to use a bit of scrap freebie to help secure it to my workbench, because it's just going to be a temporary thing while I'm doing these kind of projects. I've not got space for a full router table at the minute, so it's just going to be while I'm working on these, and then I can unclamp it, put it on a shelf, and then get it back out again. And if I need to use my trim router, I can just unscrew it and take it back off again and use it for something else. So let's get into it, and hopefully you enjoy the video. So this is how I previously had it set up. As I said, I had this clamped. It's pretty solid, it's not really going anywhere. Obviously the pressure's going downwards and the on-off switch is here. I've not got this plugged in because safety reasons, and I had my work pieces running across the top here. And I'll show you what the issue with that is. This is the template I was working from, and obviously I had another piece underneath stuck down. And when I'm working here, unless I've got my fingers pressed here, this close to the router bit, which is less than an inch, if I press here, obviously it's tipping down, and I've got to hold this in and push it through all the way around, and it's just not safe because it can tip so easy. And what we want to do is just make this bigger, and then obviously make this a little bit more secure too, because this isn't ideal. My idea was to have this sitting about here because my work table is a nice height to work from, and then I can take the freebie 2 and put that underneath, and then I can clamp from either side, and that's going to be pretty secure once it's on there. Obviously I'm going to cut these down and the router will be in the middle. Worst case scenario is I need to put a couple of holes in the back and then screw it down to the top as well, just to stop it tilting forward, but I don't think that's going to happen. So the first thing I need to do now is to put a template in the size of here, route that down so that I've not got to try and screw through the whole of the 18mm plywood, and then I can countersink the screw holes. So just need to mark centre. I'm just going to use my freebie 2 to mark centre. Doesn't have to be exactly centre, but we might as well. Might as well make it a semi-professional looking job. About where I want it. There's literally no point in me marking them screw holes because I need to route this out and I'm going to have to remark them again. Alright, so I have got just a standard flat cutting bit in my trim router. I'm just going to freehand this because it doesn't need to be perfect for this to fit in. It just needs to be able to fit in there and not be 18mm thick basically. So I'm just going to trim this out freehand with my router trimming jig, just a little bit at a time. So basically half of this base will fit in there. Definitely wear a dust mask for these kind of jobs. It makes a huge difference and saves your lungs, so always wear protection. Right, let's go. I have clamped this down, as you can see, so it doesn't move, so we're going to go slowly and hopefully it turns out good. Right, that should be deep enough. Let's see if the template will fit in. Yeah, fits in. Like I say, I don't need it to be pretty, I just need that to fit in so I don't have to try and screw through 18mm of plywood. Let's drill these holes. So I've just got a 2mm drill bit. I'm just going to go straight through these holes. I'm not too fussed about going into my workbench that's under here. This is a sacrificial workbench. It's the whole point of it. I can drill into it, I can cut into it, and then I can replace it when needed. Flip it over, as you can see, it's a bit of a mess on this side, but we're going to countersink through there anyway. Your new screws, which are going to go through the plywood, are not wider than your old ones. As you can see, these are not as wide. They are longer. Just so you don't ruin the threads that are in your mount, so that you can actually put the old mount back on, or make sure that your new screws will still go through the old base plate, which these ones will. They'll be countersunk nicely, so I could probably just replace these screws entirely with these screws. Still going to keep these aside just in case. Let's get a nice countersink on these holes. There we go. I definitely know that these will go through because these are 20mm screws. Just in case, let's just see if these are well enough sunk. Definitely there, nice and below the surface, which is what we want. So let's flip this back over. I'm going to put this base plate where it needs to go, and then we're going to mark out the hole that we're going to drill. Want it? Now we're not going to drill a hole that size. This is just way too big for a router table. I'm not going to be using anything more than a ½ inch in here, so we only need a ½ inch hole. Again, I'm going to use my 3x2. I'm going to come back across these points and see if we can get centre to that hole. That's not bad actually, that's pretty centre. So I've got a 20mm Forstner bit put in my drill. I could have took this over to the drill press, but it's already here and the camera's already set up and I've already got my drill in my hand, so why not? If you just get the tip of your Forstner bit through the other side and you do from both sides, you end up with much less breakout on the surface, which is great because we don't want to be trying to clean this up and ending up with jagged edges that things are going to stick on. Right, so it's time to get it mounted in place. So we'll take our screws, we'll half run these through. Really don't recommend using a drill to do these, otherwise you're going to strip the bits that it sits into on there, and there we go. One mounted router base. And the router now will fit in there just as it always did, and we can raise and lower it to its maximum, which doesn't need to be too much. These are short bits anyway, it's only about an inch long normal bits, that should go pretty much all the way through. Okay, the final step is getting the 3x2 cut down on here, marked out, so that we can mount it to the workbench. So I'll bring the camera back a little bit so we can kind of see what I'm planning. So my plan is to have this sat there like so, and then the 3x2 on each side, so that I can then mount the 3x2 to the workbench and working from waist height basically. So I've got more control, I can put more pressure down, it's going to feel better. So let's get that done. So wherever I can, I don't take measurements. I could measure from there to there, but if I can just sit my piece of wood on there, slide it up to where I need it, and then mark a line, why do I need to measure? It's more accurate, it's going to fit. I am going to use a square though, because I want both of these to sit at the same point. So it's got the reason I'm marking these lines here is so I know where to put the screws when I come to screw this through. Again, I'm going to screw through the back side to the front, and that'll give me where I need to countersink. And there we go. That should be one completed router table, which will clamp on there like so, and I can stick my router in. So let's just clamp some. I might have to go through the method putting a couple of countersunk screws in the back, just to give that a bit more strength. I mean, it's not really going anywhere. It's actually, I don't know if you can see the front lip of my table twisting off from the plywood that's coming down with that, but I'm going to make it more secure and just put a couple of screws in the back, just because safety third. That is a billion times better. It's going nowhere. My whole table will fall apart before this comes off now. Get the route stuck in there. And there we go. We have our router table. And now, when I'm routing out these, look at that, I have full pressure everywhere and it's nice and safe, nothing's tipping. Very happy. I'm going to go and cut some stuff out on the scroll saw. We're going to glue it all together and get it ready for using the router table. And then we'll come back and we'll give it a test. And everything should be a-okay. Okay, so we're set up. I've got my Hoover just taped onto here for now, just to see if it helps with dust collection. If it does, then I'm going to set up something better, probably get a bigger, wider attachment for the end, and we'll have it set better and clamped in more permanently. This is the offcut from the inside of what I'm routing out. So we want to make sure that this bearing actually rides on there, and it does. This is going to be raised up 3mm, because this is what we're actually routing out. I've cut these out, I've glued them down to some 3mm, and we need to trim off that. So it's a little bit high, so I'm going to lower it a little bit more to about there. So the bearing's going to ride in the middle. It's nice and easy with the clamping mechanism there on the router itself. So I'm going to throw on my ear protection and my mask, and we're going to route out these and see how it goes. Definitely have ear protection and a face mask on when you're doing this, because this gets very, very dusty. Right, let's give it a go. Well, I'm quite impressed with it. The table works really well. Dust collection, not so great. Like I say, it's something I need to work on. Maybe if I get a really wide attachment here, it'll be much better, because when it was in the middle section where the hoover was, again when it was over this side, it was really well at sucking up that dust, because it kind of throws it into there and then it just sucks it the rest of the way. So if I get a wide mouth, probably around 6 inches there at the back, then that'd be perfectly fine, and we can find a way of attaching that better than what this is at the minute. I'll probably screw it in at the back and then I can just plug the hose in. But for a temporary fix to get this job done, it's been absolutely perfect. Just need the light sand on the back, because obviously it's MDF and it doesn't like being routed like that. You just get fuzzies out on the backside. Just needs a sand and we're all good. Alright guys, there we go. One router mount made. Now putting this on and taking it off is pretty simple. Once I took the clamps off, this was still really secure with just the 3 screws at the back. It doesn't rock forward at all, so I'm happy with just using the screws. I've marked on my workbench where this sits so I can line it up again and just quickly put it into place. Overall, I'm very happy. Like I say, I just need to get that dust collection put at the back. I just need a wider mouth for the hoover attachment, and that should make the difference. The router is probably going to sit in here permanently or semi-permanently, unless I need it for something else. Then I can just unscrew the base and take it off and use it for something else. But 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to be using it for something like this anyway. I do have a couple of other bigger routers that I can use for different jobs, so this can sit in here. Overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and it's going to be a great addition to my workshop. So if you want to build one of these yourself, then feel free to use how I did it or make it yourself, and let me know how you've done yours down below. There's hundreds of videos out there on making router tables, and some of them have a fancy lift for a big router and just a big router table cart with absolutely everything on it. That's not needed in my workshop. I just needed this small clamp on quick fix for a router table, and it does the job that I need it to do. It probably will for the next few years, until I get a bigger place and I can actually have a dedicated router table. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Really does help me. It makes me feel so magical when I see all the likes flowing in on my videos. Really does make me want to make more videos for you guys. If you've got any suggestions about dust collection and things like that, just leave a comment down below. I'll have a look, and if something pops out, I'll give it a go. We'll give it a try. I'll make a video of that and we'll see how it turns out. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe. It's just so amazing how many subscribers I've got so far, and it's just me doing projects like this. It's great. As long as it's helping you guys out, then I'm all for it. And with that said, there's not much more to say, so I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you there.